evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. This is the 2026 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Round 3 review show. We will review some of the selected matches I've decided to talk about here on the show as we get ready to go back in time last week. Those third round matches were amazing to watch. And then we will set you up with the schedule for the fourth round coming up on Tuesday, April the 28th and Wednesday, April the 29th. Don't forget, you can follow me and my other fellow writers over at Beyond the 90, at beyond90.substack.com. And of course, locally on New York Soccer over at baddogsports.com. The chat room is open. Come on in, discuss amongst yourselves if you like. You have a question for me, I'll try to answer to the best of my abilities. And always remember, don't forget this. Please subscribe here for your daily American soccer content. And here are the scores from round 3 of the 2026 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. And there it is. Amazing stuff that we had last week. New England Revolution holding off Rhode Island FC in the penalty kick shootout. Louisville City Cup set against Austin FC. Detroit City falls at home to the Chicago Fire. Westchester SC gave it their best shot, just not good enough as NYCFC takes them down. Colorado Springs Switchbacks, they get their cup set against Sporting Kansas City. Colorado Rapids edging Union Omaha. And how about that one? No goals between Sacramento Republic and Minnesota United FC. And it took 12 rounds of the penalty kick shootout to knock off Sacramento Republic as Minnesota United edges them 8-9. Sacramento Republic are out. Minnesota United are through. And how about what happened with FC Naples 0 and Orlando City 1 on the road in Naples, and Orlando City survives a scare of a match. Chattanooga FC falls at home to Atlanta United. Richmond Kickers fall at home to the Columbus Crew. Red Bulls, of course, with a big win over the current defending USL Championship winners in Pittsburgh Riverhounds. A destruction with the help of a red card from Charlotte FC, defeating Charlotte Independence in the first ever Queen City Derby. DC United went the distance with one Knoxville, and the USL League One champions knocks off the Capital Club in our nation's capital. St. Louis City takes out FC Tulsa. The Houston Dynamo handles El Paso Locomotive. And even though the San Jose Earthquakes did defeat Phoenix Rising, they were down a man for the rest of the way just before the halftime whistle blew. So amazing stuff for the Open Cup in the third round proper. Just amazing action that we had in the Open Cup. And what can you say? It just gets better and better and better and better with the Open Cup. Now, you know, as I've said before, in the Open Cup this season, it's a shorter field of clubs. Expansion clubs are not getting their opportunities to be in the Open Cup this year. Some of the clubs who have been part of the Open Cup, of course, were not allowed to be in it because of the updated rules, which I think it's only for this season, obviously. It's only for this season that we're not going to see this type of action, that we're not going to see these people coming in and put on a display. But all I can say is this. All I can say is that even though we have less clubs that started in the first round, and the structure was different for this edition because of the World Cup coming, we still have action. We still have excitement. We still had cup sets. And that's what you want to see. I don't want to see the field watered down. I don't want to see clubs not getting the opportunity to be a part of the Open Cup. I don't. I really, really don't, because you want to know why? Because then it's going to lose its luster. MLS has already done this, only giving Open Cup 16 clubs because of their so-called, exhaustion of competitions and fan fatigue, as they call it. Not so. I'm sorry, not so. And we cannot continue to have this stupidity to say, well, the real reason why it's not there is because of fan fatigue. It's not fan fatigue. Fan fatigue is only when MLS interferes with the Open Cup and brings in this nonsense in the League's Cup, an absolute nonsense. And that's why I continue to tell all of you, if you are an MLS supporter and you cherish the Open Cup more than the foolish League's Cup, do it. Do not go to those matches. I know you want to see your favorite player. I'm not saying you should stop seeing your favorite club or to stop watching your favorite player. What you should do is do not go to a League's Cup match and demand across the board the Open Cup is more important than MLS's fetish with trying to be a league, a federation, and a confederation all rolled into one. Because that is what MLS is trying to do. Dominate this region and run it how they see fit. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't at all be this way, but it is. And then you have clubs like the Chicago Fire, four-time Open Cup champion. The Seattle Sounders, a three-time Open Cup champion, four-time Open Cup champion. You have clubs like Orlando City who have won it once. The Columbus Crew who have won it once. You got clubs like the Revolution who have won it once. And there are other clubs that have not won it and want to. I mean, it's really simple. And I understand people are upset with U.S. soccer at times. And look, I am upset with them too sometimes as well. When it's warranted, when they do a good job, I will give them the praise and everything positive that they deserve. And the one thing that continues to boggle my mind was when they tried to get a waiver back in the end of the 2023 season to take out all of the MLS clubs. And originally, U.S. Soccer put their foot down and said, nope, we can't have it. Then the intentional delays by MLS. And then slowly but surely, U.S. Soccer's foot got off the gas pedal, slowed down their roll, and then said, fine, we yield. How many clubs are going to give us? We're going to give you 8. Fine. For now, 8 clubs for 2024. Last year was 16. This year is 16. All because they have to rework how clubs will be participating in Open Cup, Leagues Cup, and CONCACAF Champions Cup. And I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. That is an absolute farce. We cannot have a single league dominate and dictate how U.S. soccer is governed. Cannot have that. And when we have somebody running U.S. soccer the right way, and we have a board of directors that will finally understand we cannot continue to run this august body the way it's going, changes must be made. Changes has to be made. We cannot continue to have people dominating U.S. soccer to benefit them. But it has to be shared across the board. But this is American soccer. if it wasn't run like this, we wouldn't have anything to talk about. But that's the whole point. We shouldn't have to talk about it because we should be a well-oiled machine inside Soccer House now in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. We must have a healthy U.S. soccer. Because if it's not healthy, then the shenanigans will continue on and on and on and on. And that's what makes me upset, and that's what makes me mad. We cannot continue to be like this. We cannot continue to allow a single league to dominate the entire landscape of American soccer. What has U.S. hockey done for the NHL? Basically nothing. They just have to, the players have to be allowed to go to the IIHF Olympics. They have to go to the IIHF World Championships. College kids, junior playing kids in professional hockey go to the World Junior Championships each and every year. Same thing with USA Basketball. They are allowed to select from the NBA or any international player playing abroad to be part of the national team for either the FIBA championships or the Olympics. Because without that, there's no national team. And that's all I want. That's all we need to have. Common sense, normality. We cannot continue to allow the wrong people to ruin what U.S. soccer is supposed to be about. For everyone, not for one party, not for one division, for everyone. But at the same time, it has to be balanced from top to bottom. And that also involves helping the U.S. Open Cup have that respect that it truly deserves. Because if we don't have that for the Open Cup, then what's the point of having it? And then what? We get rid of it? We say goodbye, so long, sayonara? No, we can't have that. We must bring more respect to the Open Cup. Not just from within U.S. Soccer, not just from within the Open Cup committee, but everyone. And then we have a well-oiled machine, and we will then find a way to make everything work the right way, and hopefully one day our national team will win that little golden trophy. It might be this summer. You never know. Something screwy has got to happen. But until then, we are where we are as a soccer nation. And I don't just say this because I want to prove people wrong or I want to be right. I don't want to say this because I don't like certain people running U.S. soccer. The point is that it's been like this for a very, very long time. And something's got to give. And all I want, and I think what all you want, because you're part of this, all of you. It's not just me. It's not just Kartik. It's not just, this reporter, this broadcaster, that analyst, this former player, that former player. It's all of us. It's all of us. And when these things truly work, then we will truly see the real nature of this game we call soccer. And at the same time, we also call it football. If we don't do it the right way, we'll continue to repeat and be in doomsday. We must be better. We must be better. Great show for you tonight. My first guest recorded the interview with him this afternoon. He is the interim head coach of Louisville City, Simon Bird, as Louisville City knocks off and delivers a cup set to Austin FC. And here is that recorded interview right now. American Soccer Show here as we're reviewing round 3 of the 2026 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Joining me is my guest. He is the interim head coach of USL Championships, Louisville City. Mr. Simon Bird joining me tonight for a wonderful upset in the Open Cup. Simon, thank you for your time. I truly appreciate it. And how are you today?
I appreciate you, Daniel. Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks. It's a beautiful day here. We trained this morning. It's, fantastic weather. This time of the year is incredible in Louisville because it's before the humidity that, you come off the field drenched in sweat, and it's after the freezing cold of preseason. So it's really nice time to be here. And we had a good training session. So yeah, a good day so far.
No, it's great to hear. And you know what? That was a big victory for you against Austin FC in round 3. Last season, they were the runners-up to Nashville SC in the Open Cup final, got edged 2-1. And to get them on the first match for them, your third match in the Open Cup, what did you say to the guys in the locker room before the match got underway?
We spent a lot of the time from a tactical preparation talking about Austin and trying to improve defensively on what had been a disappointing couple of games. We tied Loudoun away 3-3 and gave up too many chances there, and had lost to Charleston the week before. So it was from a tactical standpoint, it was about shoring up defensively, having the right mindset and mentality, and making it a little bit more about us and being difficult to break down. But from a holistic standpoint, playing against Austin and having playing an MLS team here, and really it became again about our ambitions and our standards and our expectations to win the game and to continue a run, regardless of who entered our building. And I guess the same can be said as well in this next round. It's it's fantastic to play these teams, and it was a wonderful occasion for the fans and everyone involved. But at the same time, we have high expectations of each other and what we want to do this season. So it was really, head down, do a job in training, get ready for the game, prepare for the game as we do normally, and go out and try and win the game.
What difficulties did Austin FC give you before you got started in this match?
Yeah, I think looking at them from a tactical standpoint, obviously very, very technical players, a lot of quality, a lot of rotation that we knew would happen. And we knew that we would be up against a team that wants the ball, that is technically, excellent with the ball. And we knew we'd have to do a lot of defending. But at the same time, we knew that we could hurt them in possession once we won the ball, and we could transition well and have a lot of success once we won the ball. So, we prepared mostly for that side, for the defensive side, because we know the quality they have. And I think for the most part, we did a really good job. We limited them to not a whole lot. Obviously, they got the set piece goal towards the end, which put us under a little bit. But no, I was really pleased overall with the mentality, the mindset, the build-up leading up to the game, and then the performance during the game.
I have to admit, it was a bit of a scrappy effort there, not just from Austin, but from your guys too. A couple of yellow cards here and there, but still, though, they stuck with the game plan. And, that opening goal from Sean Tosh was just amazing. From the far corner, delivered right in the area. And he just was right at the right place at the right time to give you guys the 1-goal advantage.
Yeah, he's done that year after year, and the timing that he has, and his ability to redirect corners. You could probably put a highlight clip of him alone, that from attacking corners where he's got that glancing header and scored goals from there. So yeah, we've come to kind of expect that from Tosh. He's really good, like I said, at timing his leap, and it was a good delivery from Davy. So yeah, overall that put us on the front foot there. It was a great start to the game, and obviously after that followed up quickly with a second goal that I think we deserved again. I thought our first 35 minutes we were excellent, and I thought controlled the game, and took our chances for the most part. I think we were disappointed not to be up before Tosh's goal, but yeah, really, really pleased with the opening 35 minutes.
Really, really you were. I mean, obviously 6 minutes later, Tola Shwamuni gives you that second goal. What is it about him that makes him so dangerous for Louisville City every time he's on the pitch, giving you guys an opportunity for the full 3 points?
Yeah, he's got pace, he's got power and strength, and he's just a real handful for defenders. And we've been working with him a lot on the timing of his movement, and I think that will continue to get better. and I think he'll get more opportunities once he becomes more comfortable with that. But yeah, he was a handful in that game. His ability to hold up the play, to run the channels, to bring players into game, and then obviously the goal he scored was first class. Really good build-up play, great delivery from Manny, and just a fantastic finish.
No, it really was. I have to say, I thought the referee was spot on all match long. I didn't see anything wrong. And you can tell Austin was frustrated with some of the foul calls that they were getting, even though I thought they were correct. And I really thought that your guys did an excellent job just playing strong defensively. You get your goals whenever they were able to come. And it was just a solid piece of attacking and defending from your club.
Yeah, I think we weathered the storm a little bit at the end of the first half, which was to be expected. Once we got the second goal, obviously they got together and they started having a little bit more of the ball. And for us, I mean, it was really a case of kind of hanging on until half time, because we were struggling to get out of our low block. We were penned back a little bit. So when the halftime whistle went, obviously we were able to regroup, discuss, get together with the lads in the locker room and try and get to a place where we're getting a little bit more pressure to the ball. We're still, solid defensively and limiting chances. And I think we come out in the second half, and I think we did that for the most part. I think for the first 15, 20 minutes, we had chances again on the counter-attack and in transition. But we were really solid defensively. And then, of course, naturally, as whoever you're playing, they're going to start throwing numbers forward. But when an MLS team like that starts throwing extra numbers forward, it becomes a challenge. And it became difficult to get pressure to the ball. But we hung on and we defended really, resolutely.
No, you really, really did. And of course, what's it like having such a great home field advantage like Lynn Family Stadium is? I know ever since they built it, getting out of the minor league baseball stadium, that's been a fortress for Louisville City for such a long time now.
Yeah, it's great. We really appreciate all the fans that come out and get on our side. And it's a great facility. It's a great stadium to play at. And we love playing here. And like you said, it's become a bit of a fortress. Obviously, we lost the one this year. We lost one last year. But other than that, I think we've had a really excellent record. And yeah, it was great to play, obviously, an MLS team at home. And, we get to go to another we get to play at home again on Saturday, then go to Houston on Wednesday, another beautiful stadium. So we're excited about the week ahead.
No, it really is. And of course, more action in the USL Championship. That's always been a fun league to watch. It almost feels like everyone's equal in some ways. But, when you're such a great club like Louisville City, obviously, you can take on anyone and everyone.
Yeah, it's a really difficult league, and we've had a lot of success over the years, as you know. And I think it's really important to understand that that's not just given. That we have to work very, very hard every day and prepare for each game, and every game, especially on the road, is a real challenge. I mean, we go to Detroit next Saturday, which is just a really difficult place to play. It's a smaller field, a turf field. The crowd are on top of you. It's a really interesting, unique, but fantastic environment to play in. So that's the beauty of this league, is you play in all sorts of stadiums, baseball stadiums, turf fields, grass fields. So you play kind of a little bit of everything. You have to adapt your game, which is from a coaching standpoint great, because it's not, I think you become a better coach for all that. You got to adapt to your opposition, adapt to your surroundings. But it is a great league, and every week's a challenge. Every week's a grind. Even we just played Jacksonville, who you could look at the table and say that's home to Jacksonville. But no, I mean they're a very good team, and it took until the 96th minute to get the winner. Finally we did score, but every game's a grind. It really is.
No, it really is, and I have to say, Jacksonville, obviously one of the newer teams in USL Championship this season. How difficult have they been to play?
It was a tough game. They're well coached. They have some really good individual players. They kind of sat deeper, which we expected them to do. We, coming to our ground, I'm sure they had a game plan in mind to sit a little lower, and we found it difficult to break them down, or found it difficult to create, quality opportunities. We had a lot of the ball. We had a lot of the ball in the final third, but kind of lacked that final pass or that final finish execution. But we stuck with it, and I got to give the lads credit. They stuck to their guns, and they kept churning away, and finally got the winner. But they're, again, another team that's difficult to play. It's not an easy game. There's no easy games in this league.
No, there isn't. If I can ask you, obviously you're from England. You've seen probably a lot of FA Cup matches in your time over there.
Yeah.
Is it the same here with the Open Cup? What craziness have you seen from an FA Cup perspective where you can mirror something you've seen in the Open Cup here in the United States?
Yeah, when I was a kid, obviously started watching football when I was 5-6 years old. My dad is an Arsenal fan. His dad was an Arsenal fan, and our entire family are really Arsenal fans, and we have season tickets. So we're FA Cup was huge. I mean, that was one of the first competitions I remember seeing. I remember my first experience of watching the FA Cup was Arsenal losing to Tottenham in the semi-final. I think it was 1991. I think it was. And they went on to play Forest in the final. And I remember Gascoigne scoring an incredible free kick that I'll never forget. That was my first. I mean, I was 5 at the time. I think that was my first experience of watching the FA Cup. And then you have these amazing upsets. In fact, Arsenal lost to Wrexham when Wrexham were a much smaller team than they are now, and they were, they would get 4,000 people watching in an old stadium. Arsenal had to go there. I think it was 93 or 94, and lost in the last minute there. So there's all these. I mean, the stories are endless in the FA Cup. There's so many upsets and incredible, non-league versus Premier League games. That just the romance of the FA Cup. So it's cool that in the US they're kind of replicating that or have been replicating and continue to replicate and give these quote unquote smaller teams a chance to play against bigger teams and cause upsets.
No, absolutely. So let's go ahead and talk about your next matchup in the 4th round. You're going to be on the road, I believe, against the Houston Dynamo. I believe you're facing.
Yeah. Wednesday, yeah.
Yep, exactly, on the 29th. Talk about that match and what challenges does the Dynamo present to you when Louisville's trying to make a push for the quarterfinals?
Yeah, just obviously a very good team that's on a run of form. We've got a couple of wins in a row now. Beat San Diego last night, beat Orlando last week. So it's going to be a challenge. I mean, they have such quality throughout the squad. Obviously, with the multiple games in a week for them, they play Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I guess, to predict the lineup and who they're going to play, who they're going to start. But it doesn't really matter because they have quality all the way through the roster. And for us, again, we try and treat it like any other game. We try and prepare like any other game. The objective is to come out with a win, to set ourselves up to come out with a win and through to the quarterfinal. So the challenges are there, are obvious from a quality standpoint. We know we're up against a very good team in a very nice stadium with fans, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. But again, like I keep saying, we believe in ourselves. We know what we're capable of. Our objective is to win the cup, and that's just another hurdle along the way.
It really is. I know the Dynamo is always going to be a very tough opponent to face in this cup competition. 2-time Open Cup champions, obviously, so you will have your hands full, that's for sure. But I've got a good feeling of this one. I think we might have look, I'm not going to put the cart before the horse here. I don't want to jinx you or anything. I don't want to be blamed for the loss if it does happen, but I know it's going to be an excellent matchup next week on Wednesday, the 29th of April, and I really believe you're going to give them a run for their money. That's for sure.
I appreciate that, Daniel. Yeah, it's just a great occasion for everyone involved with the club here that have worked so hard. The fans that have supported us through these times. So it's going to be a cool event. It's going to be a cool occasion, and hopefully we can come out of it with the win.
Absolutely. Simon, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me. Good luck with the rest of the way for USL Championship League, and good luck in your 4th round matchup against the Dynamo. You have a good day, sir.
Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate you. Cheers.
And that was Simon Bird, interim head coach of Louisville City. They knock off Austin FC, and now they're going to take on the Houston Dynamo on the road on Wednesday, April the 29th. And of course, we'll get to that schedule later on in the show. Joining me now, coming from the Windy City of Chicago, he does participate now behind the couch at home. But still, though, he still watches and takes a look at the Chicago Fire every opportunity he gets. Ruben Tisch joining me right now as he is relaxing right now in his abode in the dark. Assuming the power's working, or else he wouldn't be online with me.
Oh, I just forgot to turn the light on. It's cooler in the basement with the light on, and it's hot today.
Okay. Okay. But anyway, Ruben, that was a nice win for the Chicago Fire on the road against Detroit City FC. I know USL Championship second division side, but when you go to Keyworth, you got to have a game plan to beat them at their own place, and that was a nice victory for the Fire in Detroit.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. We were able to get some game minutes for some guys who haven't been able to play a lot. Sergio Rahel played a lot. Jason Shukaluk, who should be looking to get some more minutes in MLS action, and probably the upcoming game against St. Louis in the Cup. I feel like, and we'll probably get to this in a second, but looking at the round of fixtures and everything with the Open Cup, it feels like the Fire are probably the best team left in this tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think, the way the East has been playing so far this year, outside of, I would say, Nashville, Miami looks like they might have gotten back on track now with the coaching change. The rest of the East is just jumbled up into a big cluster. And, with the amount of clubs remaining from the East in this Open Cup, I agree with you. I think that they can make a run here for the final.
Yeah. Look, just like looking at the rest of these MLS teams, I know far less about the USL teams still in the tournament, but the quote unquote best team in the tournament left is based on the table is obviously San Jose, but they've had a pretty powder puff schedule to start the year. I don't know how they're going to do. Minnesota is interesting because they have James Rodriguez, who apparently doesn't play, and they're interesting. New England's also been good, but they've also had a soft schedule to start the year, and it's just like, looking up and down, as far as like quality of play goes, aside from San Jose, who's very entertaining, along with the Red Bulls, who are very entertaining, but also are playing so many teenagers right now that I expect their form to go up and down as the year progresses. Just, because that's just what you get when you play a bunch of kids. There's a lot of inconsistency. The Fire should be the clear betting favorites to win this tournament.
No, I agree. Absolutely. And, you still got Kuipers on the club. So, that's a big, big plus there.
He hasn't, obviously, you look at the games, he hasn't scored in every game he's played, but numbers wise, he has scored in every game he has played this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He has certainly leveled up. Jonathan Bamba has leveled up. He's a guy, if you and your audience are familiar with the David Goss theorem, he is classic Goss theorem, where he comes in, the league the first year, struggles a little bit to get a feel for that. In year two, he hits the ground running. He's been fantastic. The one concern I have is they never really replaced Brian Gutierrez.
Yeah.
He went down to Chivas over the winter, and he's been playing really well there, well enough, I think, to get probably good enough to get in the Mexico World Cup squad, which I think will be interesting. He's probably this generation's Giuseppe Rossi.
Probably.
But yeah, Andre Franco, who they brought in last year, is kind of like the replacement. Tore his ACL, so he's going to be out until after the World Cup break. So really, the Fire are sort of grinding till they get their number 10 back.
Yeah, that's really a rough thing right there. That ACL, around with it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a bit of a grind for the Fire. Also, they haven't lost in a month. You know, over the weekend, their game against Cincinnati, you know, they go up 3-1 and then lose the lead on a own goal and a penalty. So it, you know, it is what it is in that respect. But yeah, the Fire have been really good this year.
No, that's great to see. We'll go ahead and put up the stats of the game, obviously. And what is about Jason Shukaluk that he looks unbelievable? I mean, the first goal he scored in the 34th minute, I was thinking to myself, did he watch a lot of Thierry Henry highlights from Arsenal? Because the first goal felt like that was an Henry-like goal.
Doesn't everybody?
I know, right?
I mean, if you are playing as a number 9, you know, YouTube's there. Just go watch Thierry Henry. Just watch him play the game. Unless you're like 6'7", and then you should be watching Peter Crouch. But yeah, he's good, and he can't get on the field because Hugo Kuipers is playing out of his mind. It's a really great problem, I think, that Greg Berhalter has. He has a striker who, when his name is called, finally he's got a backup striker who can do the job. And granted, again, like you said at the top, it's Detroit City. It's a USL2 team. At the same time, you know, you can't teach his movement. You can't teach his sense for the game. When he is on the field, it's usually at the end of games where his job is to hold it down and make sure the Fire don't concede and press and play defense. So he hasn't really gotten many looks in MLS action. But yeah, in this Open Cup game, he showed his quality.
He really did. I mean, it was just amazing to watch. And then that second goal, so fast, 2 minutes later, I couldn't believe how quickly he got his brace. Just 2 minutes apart. Just amazing what he's done. What has he been a Chicago Fire 2 player, or
Yes.
they just recently got him?
He won the MLS 2 Golden Boot, or the MLS Next Pro Golden Boot last season with Fire 2, which is why he got the call up to the big squad this season. In you know, you saw it last year playing for Fire 2. Him and David Paraba, who's also made the jump to the big squad this year, although he's not getting a lot of playing time because he sits behind Celatros and Jay Davila and that sort of 6 to 8, you know, box to box role. Both of them have been fantastic at Fire 2 levels, doing a lot of the same stuff that they did against Detroit City, and I'm glad they're getting a look at with the big club, because watching Fire 2 games last year and even the year before, they definitely earned it.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see, and just wonderful to watch that happen, that sequence. And then just hard defense, obviously. Unfortunately, Darren Smith got his goal to pull one back to make it 2-1 in the 79th minute. But was it really twitchy bum time? And it's my fault. I forgot to make Puso's card red, not yellow, because he got sent off in the 81st minute.
Yeah.
What was that? Was that a really bad foul? I mean, was it really, really a bad challenge by Puso to get himself ejected?
It was dumb, I would say. It was just dumb. It was one of those that's like, it's a red card, not because of how violent the challenge was, I would say, but it was just a dumb foul in a dumb spot, and he's learning. He's basically, Puso's signing was essentially to give oh god, this is the worst. Our best defender, who's the South African kid.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on his name because I'm stupid. But basically to give him a countryman, someone he can come in and be comfortable with and sort of help get him acclimated to life in the United States by having another South African there. That's why he was signed. He's a decent talent, but he's just a guy. So I think that, but to answer your question that you were getting at, no. Until the game in Cincinnati, the Fire had just given up 5 goals the entire season so far. Obviously not including the one in Detroit, so I guess 6. It just, this team is night and day. Greg Berhalter has gotten this team to defend. Jack Elliott looks well rested and better. Barroso has upped his game another level. Jonathan Dean can play both sides in a pinch, even though he's more comfortable on the right. He's a great backup to have. Andrew Gutman isn't asked to defend a whole lot, which is fine. That's not really his deal. But yeah, Greg Berhalter has, in a short off season, basically fixed this defense. Also, it helps that Jay Davila is growing into his body finally and is playing better. It's just a fantastic job that Greg Berhalter has done with this defense.
No, it really is. So you're going to take on St. Louis City SC in the 4th round. And that one, Cardinals, Cubs, Blues, Blackhawks, obviously. I don't know if this will reach that level, but it doesn't matter, though, does it? Chicago versus St. Louis, it's always a rivalry, isn't it?
Yes and no. They're not Columbus. They're not even Minnesota. But it is the rivalry MLS as a commercial entity is trying to build. So there's that. I'm sure playing meaningful games in this tournament as it goes on is going to help. It can only help because the more games they play against each other, the more chance the rivalry builds. But again, the quality difference in the sides is just so staggering that St. Louis is going to have to get good if they want this to be any kind of rivalry. And because kind of like Kansas City for a long time, who is the other sort of geo rivalry going all the way back to the late 90s. It's very big brother, little brother.
Yeah.
And I think that's only going to continue unless St. Louis can get their act together.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there, but it should be a lot of fun though when you get to that 4th rounder, and hopefully it'll be an exciting match like it should be. And,
I I don't see it being exciting. I think this game in particular is going to be a walk for the Fire. Especially if Bamba and Kuipers and Zinkernagel start. Because Zinkernagel he may or may not have gone into concussion protocol a couple of weeks ago. He's back playing, but Marin Holly Selassie's been playing a lot with the injuries up front. And so if the Fire front three start against St. Louis after their game this weekend against Kansas City, it should be a walk.
Should be. I agree. It really should be. Well, Ruben, let me just say this. Thank you again for coming on the show. As you know, I always appreciate you coming on.
No problem. I had fun.
As always. Who else but me? I let you have fun. And hopefully you'll get back in there and, you don't have to worry about these issues that keeps interfering with your fantasy job. No.
It's really nice, having a good soccer team while also not caring at all about the NFL draft. It just really is.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It really is. Yep, 100%. Ruben, as always, I appreciate your time. You have a good night, my friend, and take care. Thank you very much.
Anytime.
All right. Ruben Tisch, Chicago Fire reporter on the outside, hanging out with me on the inside. And it's just absolutely fantastic to see him coming back on the show, and just glad to have him on. It's wonderful to have him on. And hopefully he does get back into the booth and to the press box, I should say, at Soldier Field, and then he can get to the new stadium whenever he can. So I can't wait when that starts getting constructed and built. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be very exciting. Next, we're going to talk about that huge victory for one Knoxville SC, and that was in our nation's capital as they took on DC United. And wow, what a game this was. No goals in the first half, and then DC converts the opening goal in the 61st minute from Matty Peltola. And then all of a sudden, here comes one Knoxville SC, Babacar Dieng, 75th minute, levels it at 1. 3 minutes later, Denis Karotchenkov, he makes it 2-1, first goal of the match. And you're thinking Knoxville's going to have a cup set, but then here comes Nikola Markovic, and he levels the match at 2 in the 83rd minute. You go into extra time, and then in the 98th minute, João Peglo makes it 3-2 for DC. You get the halftime, and DC leads for the second time in the match. But it's Denis Karotchenkov does it again, second goal in this match, and makes it 3-3 in the 113th minute. And nothing else happens. We go straight to penalties afterwards. And each side is battling each other. And it is just unbelievable the match that we got. Peglo scored. Karotchenkov scores 1-1. Keisuke Kurokawa scores. Rodilio Rodriguez scores 2-2. Then third round, Sylvain Hefty scores. Michael Goling scores 3-3. Jacob Merrill scores. Eli Conway scores 4-4. Peltola scores. Danny Fernandez scores 5-5. And then the big save on Gabriel Pirani in the sixth and final round. And then it's Kyle Linares who comes up big with the game-winning penalty on the line. And it's just amazing to watch. It's amazing to see. And you know what? All you got to say is this. This is what you hope to see. This is the action you want to see from these lower division clubs knocking off the top division clubs. And one Knoxville SC does the job. Solid win in the first round, amazing penalty kick shootout victory in the second round, another match where they were able to make it exciting and fun. They had a lead, lost it, then tied it, and then won it in the shootout again. It was just unreal and unbelievable to watch that happen. I could not believe just could not believe what I watched. It was exciting. It was fun. And, you're on the edge of your seat. You want to see what's going to happen. And boy, oh boy, did it really happen. And it was amazing. Ian Fuller, the head coach of one Knoxville SC, has got this club rolling. Of course, they are the USL League One champions from last year. And now they're acting like defending champions. And it looks like winning that title has put them in a special place where they may make a run here. They may make a run. And if they do make a run here, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting. And then it all depends on who they're going to face in the quarterfinal draw. And will it be possibly Chicago? Will it possibly be Charlotte? Will it possibly be maybe Columbus? I don't know. But one thing is for sure. Maybe it could be Atlanta. It could be Atlanta if they survive their match. I don't know who it's going to be, but Knoxville looks like they're ready to go. Knoxville looks like they're ready for the action. They're ready for something special. They're ready to go out there, and they're ready to do a job. And all you can do is just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. That's it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And one thing is for sure. One thing is for sure, folks. We will have an amazing situation once this fourth round is done. And then we get to the quarterfinal draw, which will be on Thursday, April the 30th. Once again, we'll see it on CBS Sports Golazo Network on their morning footy. It is amazing. It is tremendous. And that's what you want to see these lower division teams get this opportunity to climb through each and every round and go as far as you can. To go as far as you can. And what we're going to do? Go and celebrate it. Go and celebrate it. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. Just exciting stuff that involves the Open Cup and these lower division teams. It is unbelievable what we are seeing here in this Open Cup third round. And, just to go back to the Minnesota United Sacramento Republic game, to watch that unfold where there was no goals in the regulation, no goals in extra time, all of the action on the penalty kick shootout, and it goes 12 rounds. 12 rounds. No one expected 12 rounds. And we also had goalie wars, which is amazing within itself. When goalie wars is on, you're in for a fun time. And, Minnesota going first, obviously. Joaquin Pereira scored in the first round. Dominic Warner scored as well. Second round was converted. Third round, both goals. Both players in the third round of the penalty kick shootout was stopped. Fourth round, both players converted. Fifth round, Anthony Markanich for Minnesota, Brandon Cambridge for Sacramento were both stopped in the fifth round. And then they all continued on in the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth, the 10th. And then we get to goalie wars. Alex Smear was stopped by Daniel Vitello, and then the other way around as Vitello was stopped by Smear. And then you get to the 12th round. And Joaquin Pereira comes up again, and he converted. And you're thinking, yep, it's going to get converted again, but not this time. Dominic Warner, unfortunately for Sacramento Republic, was stopped. And Minnesota United FC edges Sacramento Republic in penalties 9-8 on the road in the capital of California. That, my friends, is unbelievable. That, my friends, is something I wasn't expecting. No one was expecting. But you know what? That's why you play these games. That's why you play these cup competitions, knockout cup competitions. This is why it's a lot of fun to watch these games. This is why it's a lot of fun to be excited for these games. And when the calendar on the schedule comes up, Open Cup, put on your seatbelts, hold on tight, grab your hat, and make sure it's stuck on your head because there's going to be a lot of action. A lot of action and a lot of fun. And trust me, I've been enjoying it. Once again, the field of clubs is a bit short than the last several years, but you know what? Look, for now, I understand. My only hope once again, is that U.S. Soccer brings back all the clubs in the USL Championship, all the clubs in USL League One, bring them back to the Open Cup full time, and we don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. And don't forget, change the schedule to suit MLS, and at the same time, USL has to change their schedule to suit MLS and the Open Cup, because we've got to make it all come together as one. Solve that one main issue first. Everything else will come together. Plain and simple. Nothing more, nothing less. And once again, everything is right as rain, and everything else makes sense. Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest tonight, he covers the New England Revolution and New England soccer over at the Blazing Musket. Of course, my good friend, Sam Latoff, joining me right now. Sam, welcome back. I hope you're well. Once again, New England soccer never disappoints. Revolution, Rhode Island FC, what a match. Going the distance. Revs come up big once again, but still, though, that's what you want to see in an Open Cup competition.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much for having me, Dan. I mean, it definitely seemed like the Revs were going to be able to kind of close this out in relatively easy fashion. You know, had a great goal from Diego Fagundes, but essentially got a ton of stoppage time in the second half, and Rhode Island FC was able to claw back, and then the game went to penalties, and whenever the game goes to penalties, anything can happen. So, you know, the Revs were able to pull it out, but definitely wasn't easy.
No, it definitely wasn't. I have to say, do you find it weird that the Revolution were the home team in the stadium that is normally for the visiting team? I mean, was there not a suitable home or an alternate home for the Revolution to play this home game at? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm glad they're going to go back there now for the fourth round, but still, though, that was the strangest home game I've seen the Revolution play outside of league play.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it definitely is weird. I think, you know, almost at that point, I'd rather just give Rhode Island FC the home game. And, you know, I don't think it really would have changed much as the result. But, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with the World Cup, whether it's preparations or, you know, you're also going to have like national teams coming into different local colleges and what have you. So maybe, you know, some spots weren't available, but it definitely was strange. I think it's obviously better for the Orlando game, but it's still gonna be a little bit weird, but definitely a weird atmosphere for that game against Rhode Island FC.
No, I agree with you absolutely, but it was still a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. Obviously, that first half, no goals, but once again, just plenty of great action. I thought from both sides.
Yeah, and I mean, you could kind of see it from both sides that there, was that passion. I think, whenever you have kind of local proximity, there's the potential for rivalries to kind of flourish and build. I think there's also a lot of Rhode Island FC fans who used to be Revolution fans. So it really does provide that opportunity for a rivalry to grow. And I mean, you look at, the number of yellow cards, and I think even outside of that, you saw moments where players were coming together. Their players were scuffling a little bit. I mean, there was kind of, the embers, if you will, of kind of a rivalry going. And I think, that's the great thing about the Open Cup. The New England Revolution don't normally play Rhode Island FC. We saw, earlier in the earlier rounds, Port Pine playing Vermont Green. The Open Cup is so amazing because we get to see these teams who normally wouldn't play each other, even though they have this local proximity, get to go up against one another.
Exactly. Like you said, Diego Fagundes had a hell of a shot to make it 1-0 in the 51st minute. Unfortunately, though, after the last minute of 10 in second half stoppage time, J.J. Williams, I don't know, last remaining seconds, I think, just finds a way to get a flick header on that ball and beats Pisani to the far post and forces extra time. That had to be the biggest bummer for Revolution fans out there.
Yeah, it kind of came after a weird sequence too. We saw kind of Donovan Parisian kind of get out of this box, lose a little bit of maybe his positioning, and then it's almost like he got tackled or he tackled a Rhode Island FC player, and it was just chaos in the box. And then after that, we get this goal from J.J. Williams where he was just able to get up in the air, jump, essentially dunked on Tanner Beeson, and he was able to head it home. And it was stunning. I know a lot of Revolution fans were kind of stunned by the amount of stoppage time. But I think you can't really use that excuse. Both sides knew about it. They knew how long the game was going to be in terms of stoppage time. So it definitely was a blow. It was something personally I wasn't expecting, but it's kudos to Rhode Island FC for staying in the match, not giving up until essentially the final whistle. And they really were able to claw back in. And again, once you get to extra time, once you get the penalties, the odds really flip and anything can really happen. So the fact they were able to get that goal really kind of boosted their chances, even though they didn't end up advancing. It really boosted your chances of getting a W.
Yep, very true. I agree completely. So nothing in extra time. A yellow card, of course, to Jaden Da and Alan Oyerworth. But still though, this really was really exciting to watch. And they get the penalty kick shootout. Donovan Parisian, that's amazing because you very rarely we see a goalkeeper in shootouts have 3 consecutive or even 4 consecutive stops in the shootout. Kawizra gets stopped after Diop scored, and Afonso gets stopped, and Williams, who scored the equalizer, he got stopped too. I know you got Turner right now starting, but is Parisian maybe now the future starting goalkeeper for the Revolution when Turner says I'm done?
He's definitely someone to keep an eye on. The Revolution do have a decent amount of goalkeepers, in the stable, if you will. You have Parisian, you have JD Gunn, who's looking to make it on the Panama's roster for the World Cup. You also have Max Weinstein, who was recently over in Estonia on loan. So they have a lot of these players, and, there is kind of the decision that's waiting in the wings. Matt Turner's loan does kind of expire, I believe, midway through the season around, the timing, of the World Cup. So obviously it's going to come down to if New England either purchases him or if, Olympique Lyon just wants to keep him. So it will be interesting to see how that goes. But Parisian definitely stood out. I mean, rebounding from allowing the goal to make those 3 stops and, penalty kicks are, definitely not the easiest. So for a young player like him to make those plays was very impressive. I mean, personally, I thought the more experienced Koke Vegas would probably be able to, lift Rhode Island to a win, but Parisian had an amazing performance and definitely, I think, got on the radar of some Revolution fans, of someone who, God forbid, Matt Turner decides to go play for another team. They'll feel a little bit better about Donovan Parisian in that.
Yeah, I agree there. I really think, great during the post-match interviews with the media. I mean, he deserves, to me, like, look, if you have, to me, he was man of the match. That's how I feel. I thought he was man of the match for the Revolution, obviously, in that shootout victory. I mean, if there was 3 stars in soccer like you have in hockey, he would have been the first star for me anyway. So
Definitely.
yeah, absolutely. What's your thoughts of the Centerville Bank Stadium? I mean, I like it. It's nice. It's cozy along the Pawtucket River, obviously. But, from your own personal experience, this is what, your second time visiting, third time visiting the facility?
I unfortunately was not able to make it out for the Open Cup game, but I've been there a fair few times. And I mean, it is a very impressive stadium. Like, the overall atmosphere is really great. The fans are, on top of the field. They have a great supporter section with the fans, 1636. Like you said, it is right by the water. They make sure to kind of, get food trucks out there and a bunch of different food options. So it's really kind of, a state-of-the-art facility and kind of, the point of pride for the USL Championship. So it's something, especially as a Revs fan, can't wait for the days when they have their own stadium. And I think hopefully, a lot of, USL Championship sides would be able to have a stadium like that. But a very impressive, not only just, what happens on the field and the overall field quality, but the support they get from the fans as well as just the overall facility. It's very impressive. So kudos to the Rhode Island FC ownership for what they were able to build.
You and me both. I can't wait for the day the Revolution finally are going to play in their own stadium. Look, like I said, I know you guys over there, you have your own, locations and everything where you wanted it. I'm obviously on the outside looking in. I didn't care where the location was. As long as you can build the damn thing, build it already, and finally just play some games over there. Gillette served its purpose. It's already long overdue. They should have been out of there a long time ago. I'm just happy finally things are rolling. And I believe, has demolition already started for the new site for the new stadium or not yet?
Not yet. They're still kind of working through all the kind of, legal jargon and, all that process. It's definitely, still ways to go. But, like you said, a lot of people were hoping it would be in Boston proper. But for me, especially because it would very much cut my drive in essentially half. I love that it's in Everett. I love that, just that the Revolution are going to have their own stadium. It's so long overdue. And you see, these stadiums like you see in Cincinnati, TQL, you see, the LA stadiums, you see, I'm thinking Columbus Crew, Nashville. I mean, it just creates an entirely different atmosphere. So really can't wait for the day when the Revolution are able to play in a soccer-specific stadium where, there's not an entire row of empty seats and it doesn't feel as full as it should be. It'll feel, like a proper soccer game.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping for as well. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay, so we're going to preview now the fourth rounder. Obviously, you already know who's playing against the Revolution. Orlando City's coming up to Pawtucket to take on the Revs. Obviously, Orlando has not been great this year. We all know that. Their back line's a shambles. Only goalkeeping is the thing that's keeping them afloat. Obviously, a certain Frenchman will be coming over to the Magic Kingdom in Central Florida, but he won't be there until after the World Cup. How are we seeing about this match, and do you think you're moving on to the quarterfinals?
Yeah, definitely think the Revolution feel confident. They're really kind of riding high. I think they're on 5 games unbeaten, at the moment. And Marko Mitrovic has just really kind of transformed the culture. He really has this group believing in itself and believing that it can be a contender. And they've gone down 1-0 in the last 2 games and been able to come back and, it's really impressive. It's also impressive considering the amount of injuries they have to, the likes of Leo Campana in the match against Atlanta, where they were out without Brian Ceballos, who was out with a groin injury. His status is kind of up in the air, for this weekend's match and definitely for the Orlando match. So we've really seen Marco kind of rotate his lineup, but I wonder how much rotation there will be against an MLS squad compared to going up against a USL Championship squad. Considering just how many matches there are, I think they're playing on Wednesday and Saturday this week as well as next week, so essentially 4 games in that time span. So they're going to be feeling the fixture congestion, and they will want to make sure that they're not overloading their players. But I think when you're going up against Orlando, it does provide the opportunity for rotation. But if you want to make sure that you get through, this is a team that you should be beating. So maybe throw out a few more of the starters that you're used to. But I definitely think this is a game that the Revolution should be winning. It'll be interesting to see kind of the lineup they put out against Miami. That will be a tough match, but it seems like from talking with Marko Mitrovic that he's going to want to try and, get the 3 points and not just kind of let Miami play their game, but essentially let the Revolution try and play their game against Miami. So will be interesting, but I think, whether it's a rotated lineup or whether it's a pretty strong 11, the Revolution should be moving on.
Did you think that Marko Mitrovic needed time to adjust the players to his system when the season got started?
I definitely think there was a little bit. It's definitely a little bit of a different system than they've probably been used to playing, whether it's with Caleb Porter or Bruce Arena. But I think it definitely partially is just kind of a mindset shift. Like he talked about getting a player like Will Sands just believing in himself more. And, belief is a very common word that we hear from players and Marco about, the overall kind of state of the squad. And I think the fact that you have a guy like Will Sands starting and a guy like Peyton Miller coming off the bench, if you told Revolution fans that last year, they would probably think that you were insane. But it makes sense with how Sands is performing, and Miller is definitely facing some fixture congestion. But I think there was a little bit of kind of an adjustment period. But the team, now that it's really rolling, there's that chemistry. They're looking like a tough team to beat, and after missing the playoffs these last 2 years, it seems like the Revolution could be back in the Eastern Conference, at least, contending once the postseason arrives.
No, absolutely, and we'll see what happens when we get to that game, and especially, like I said, I was telling you before, I think Miami might have righted themselves with a coaching change. So, I mean, so far, two wins so far for them, but still, they're going to be a tough team to face against no matter what. But, you can try to outrun them and maybe outgun them, and it's a possibility you can get them.
Yeah, and I mean, believing in yourself is half the battle, as they say. And I mean, whenever you're going up against Leo Messi, it's going to be a difficult match. The likes of Luis Suarez and just all the great players down in Miami. But, it really seems like the Revolution aren't just going to sit back and let Miami do whatever they want. They're going to, try and play their style of soccer. They're going to, not be kind of in a low block. They're going to be trying to press and create turnovers. So, when you play like that, maybe you get, these top players, under pressure. They're great under pressure, but maybe they haven't felt that in a while in MLS. So, very intrigued to see how the match goes. It would definitely help if they had someone like Brian Ceballos. But Matt Turner has been playing great. Essentially, I think statistically one of the best goalkeepers in MLS at the moment. So, they definitely have a much greater chance than they probably had these last 2 seasons.
No, they really do. And it should be fun and exciting to see what they will do when this whole situation does come to a head. But anyway, Sam, I appreciate your time as always. Thanks for joining me tonight. Good luck in the league game this weekend, and good luck in your 4th-round matchup against Orlando City. You take care, my friend.
Thanks, Sam.
And once again, Sam Latoff, Blazing Musket, joining me to talk about the Revolution and that crazy victory in the shootout over Rhode Island FC. And now we're going to review the New York Red Bulls as they took on the USL Championship League winners, in the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And boy, oh boy, that thing was over and done really, really fast. 2 goals in 3 minutes. Emil Forsberg gets the free kick opportunity and bangs it into the upper near 90 on the far side, just inside the front post. And then 3 minutes later, Julian Hall making sure that he would disguise himself, hide himself inside the 3 defenders of the Riverhounds. And when he got that ball from Nahun Benedetti, bang, 2-0 for the Red Bulls. First goal for Julian Hall. And then right away in the 47th minute, in the restart of the match, Julian Hall gets a nice pass from Emil Forsberg. Shot wasn't taken that good enough, but it still got through the goalie and went right into the back of the net. Second goal of the match. 2 Open Cup goals. The first time ever for Julian Hall, not only scoring his first Open Cup goal, but getting a brace in that matchup. And obviously should have had a hat trick. He should have had a hat trick and should have had 3, but unfortunately no. 3-0 at that time. And then it would be Pittsburgh pulling one back in the 79th minute by Trevor Amon. But there wasn't much more they can do. Fantastic defensive performance. Fantastic job by the by Red Bull New York as a knockoff Pittsburgh Riverhounds by a final score of 3-1. And that would be all she wrote. And the Red Bulls are now in the 4th round, waiting their next opponent. And we are now going to give you the schedule for the 4th round proper of the U.S. Open Cup. It's exciting. It's a lot of fun. We're going to have 2 matches on Tuesday, April the 28th, and then 6 matches on Wednesday, April the 29th. First things first, on Tuesday, April 28th, we have Charlotte FC hosting Atlanta United, 7 p.m. Eastern Time over at CBS Sports Network and streaming on Paramount Plus. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, San Jose Earthquakes hosting Minnesota United FC, seen live on CBS Sports Golazo Network and, of course, streaming on Paramount Plus. And then on Wednesday, April the 29th, Red Bulls versus NYCFC. The Hudson River Derby is back at Sports Illustrated Stadium, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, CBS Sports Network, streaming on Paramount Plus. And then the rest of the schedule for Wednesday will be streaming on Paramount Plus. First things first, New England Revolution hosting Orlando City. Columbus Crew hosting One Knoxville. Chicago Fire hosting St. Louis City SC. The Houston Dynamo hosting Louisville City. And the Colorado State Derby, the Colorado Rapids hosting the Colorado Springs Switchbacks, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And the other 2 here, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Exciting games, fun games. I cannot wait. It's exciting. I am excited. And I know we're going to get some great Open Cup action. Trust me, it is going to be a lot of fun. And there will be tons of it in Open Cup nights across America. I want to thank my guests tonight. Simon Bird, interim head coach of Louisville City FC. Ruben Tisch, covering Chicago Fire. And, of course, Sam Latoff of the Bent Musket for New England Soccer and the Revolution. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you for joining me tonight. Don't forget, tomorrow night, one more show. CONCACAF Champions Cup, second leg in the quarterfinal review show. We've got some great guests for you. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. Cannot wait. Once again, my name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. And as always, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care. So long. Have a good night. And bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.